Taurus, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 23rd through the 29th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. So Taurus, this week we are coming off of that full moon, which was opposite your sign over there, right on the cusp between your 6th and your 7th house of Libra and Scorpio. So there is this awareness from last week, I think, for you guys in terms of relationships and maybe also in terms of your work or routine. So that's going to be continuously developed this week. Mercury also went direct on Sunday, and this is, I think, a greater understanding about the deep psyche. You know, Mercury was retrograde in your 12th house. I think you guys were learning a lot about the importance of having acceptance in your life, or maybe the importance of going with the flow, getting that alone time, that meditative time perhaps. So that's starting to move forward, and I think it's an excellent week for applying a lot of these things, if it has been anything tangible in that sense. But usually with Mercury it can be. You know, maybe it's the meditation or the yoga, or whatever it is that you've come to that realization about, or you can start to implement. Because Mercury is a very routine-oriented sort of planet. Now this is also relating to the financial and self-expressive side of things, because he rules your 2nd and your 5th, so that energy is moving forward as well. You know, in terms of the simple pleasures of life, the enjoyments, the finances, as well as your self-expression, if you've been feeling that stuff was in a bit of a reflective state these past few weeks. So early in the week, we do have Mars retrograde going back into Libra. And there's a lot of things we learned about Mars during the full moon, and this is again relating to your one-to-one connections and relationships. So applying a lot of that energy. But Mars in the 6th house is that now perhaps it's a good time to reestablish and redo your work or routine, your daily activities. Reflect on where you can put energy into this part of your life, whether it's your work life, your routine life, your self-improvement, your self-development, and how that's, you know, through this reflection, you're understanding more about how you can gain energy through reworking those things or doing those things or establishing that diet, routine, or regimen, whatever it might be. So a good area to put that energy up and through June with Mars retrograde here, and just kind of being malleable and flexible about the whole thing. And that's kind of easing up, I think, a bit too, the reflection you have been doing with relationships, because although you still do have Saturn retrograde there, and the last full moon was associated with it, Mars is leaving that 7th temporarily until July, I believe, when he goes back into that Scorpio. All right, so I think the shift will be going into more of the daily tasks versus if you have been feeling more of the directness and motivation in the relationship sphere. So that's the early part of the week. Also, this early part, that Mars is going to be opposing up to your ruler Venus. So you guys could be feeling perhaps a bit of that that imbalance, maybe wanting to get really far caught up into the either routine or the relationships or something like that. But here with the opposition, it's all about balance this week for us. And that's what the full moon really symbolized. So this is about bringing extra attention to both self and other. You know, Venus is you in the chart. And this is actually a time where you guys can be gaining a lot of energy, gaining a lot of this prana, because you do have Venus, your ruler, and the sun both in your 1st house. And happy birthday for those of you watching for your sun sign who have your birthdays this week. But all of you do have this energy to be gained through accessing your goals, through getting your physical body moving, taking action. Even though there's a lot of this reflection, I think, still about that spiritual acceptance. So the opposition here is suggesting self and other, balance here, watching any extremes with that, of course, and bringing the extra attention on the ego, the self, so that everything stays nice and balanced, bringing extra attention to the relationships. Maybe there's still things to be learned about that this week, and being, again, adaptive in the process. Now, as we approach Thursday, we do have Jupiter squaring up to Saturn exact, which has been a very important transit. And this is going to be the importance of building things that we do see as possible that are expanding for us. And this, I think, are the possibilities that you might be seeing or have been reflecting on these past months relating to your home or your location or your family, or for some of you, your health. These are all 4th house matters. So it's a great area for you to be putting energy, because you do have the North Node in here and you have Jupiter there expanding it. So you guys are seeing the possibilities with that. and that's good. But Saturn's here making sure everything is done patiently. All right, the square, Saturn's saying, hold off. Let's think long term. Let's see this stuff into the future so that we can put off the short-term gains or the short-term inspirations for the long-term ones. All right, this has been the Saturn in your 7th house, which has been helping you establish your relationships in life, establish your business perhaps for some of you, these kinds of things. So it's good to continuously stay connected to the development of your relationships, the importance of building solid foundations with your relationships. All right, and that could be in some way directly supporting the personal life here, the emotional life, and vice versa, bringing this bit of optimism I think you do have about the emotions in your personal life into your interpersonal relationships. And in that way, it does become very constructive. So that's going to be Thursday. That's going to be the major energy of the week, more than likely, because this is a very slow-moving transit. It's good to have that slow and steady growth, I think, both on the relationship sphere for you as well as in the foundations, if it's with home, family, health, etc. All right, so that's the week, and I think the big emphasis too is with Mars opposing up to your Venus, your ruler, having this balance with tact, with your goals, your drives, your ambitions, and having the extra tension on the relationships, which again is all in this reworking sort of phase. Still good to be rehashing that stuff, rethinking it, redoing it. I think a good place to put energy in terms of learning is in your work or your routine, especially by Wednesday onward, and as we go into the rest of, as we get into and the rest of June, is where we'll have Mars retrograde. And then applying a lot of this acceptance or awareness of your deeper spiritual self that has been in reflection these past few weeks. All right, so Taurus, have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.